Hello YouTube, this is my poll plan series where I break information down quickly and go over my thoughts and plans on upcoming characters and events. Today I'll be talking about Divine Panda, coming with Lufenia Plus, Burst Plus. I go over those in a separate video, so check that out. But also Zidane LD and BT, Beatrix LD boards, Rinoa LD boards, and Ishtola Burst Plus and LD board rework. This is poll plans and not should you poll for a reason. I don't believe I'm credible enough to give any direct instructions, nor do I want to be responsible if I tell someone to do something and they aren't happy with the outcome. I don't believe any of the direct advice formats encourage healthy thinking about the game. Instead, I think people should learn how to help themselves and not rely on others to make biased decisions for them. To embody this, I prefer to explain my approach to stuff in order to encourage others to think for themselves and possible ways to do so. I can't give you answers, only perspectives. So in that same spirit, be sure to leave a comment with your plans for the event, teams, and polls. I read all the comments, so don't hesitate to hit me up with questions. While you're here, do me a favor, drop a like and a subscribe. It helps my channel tons. You can become a channel member for emotes and to make sure I always reply to your comments. Lastly, be sure to check out the ranting over my weekly stream where I talk about Dissidia with some others, and we usually get pretty unfiltered. It's a really fun time. Without further ado though, let's get into things. Divine Pandemonium is the first event of the month, and it comes with a ton of upgrades for a bunch of characters, but the headliner is Zidane, so let's talk about him first. His rework gives the usual multiple HP attacks on his skills now. His LD gives him a new overhead that makes it so whenever he breaks a target, he deletes their turn. He gets a free turn right after this, kind of like Lightning, Art, Inject, etc. And similar to them, he can't exploit the effect twice in a row. So if you break A on his first turn, they get deleted, but if you break B right after, they won't get deleted. However, you can offset this via Zidane's turn manipulation on high turn rate moves, or Mug after using EX, or C65 if you so please. This makes it very easy for him to make targets disappear, just because he's so fast. The actual LD attack will re-break whoever they're targeting, but it won't re-break both targets. After LD use, he gets a free skill, and additionally, he gets a special HP attack that re-breaks a target. And after this HP attack, you get another free skill. Coupled with his speed down, it's actually crazy how much turn control Zidane has. He makes fights, as long as the bosses don't warp or anything and the bosses don't need turns, Zidane sends them to the Shadow Realm. It's hilarious. He's a turn stealer, but in a whole different lens now. His BT, on top of the finisher being really cool, pulling Garnet up, and having the best music in Final Fantasy history, don't at me, gives 40% party brave damage up, and then brave damage cap up, and when you're attacking a debuff target with Zidane in the party, which should be all the time, it's HP damage up 20% to the party. Additionally, when Zidane lands a debuff, he gets I think it's Stolen Mega Elixir effect. The party gets healed to full, overheals get converted to bravery, and he batteries the party as well. If he's green, the party will get more brave damage up and more battery when Zidane lands a debuff. So with his BT, he becomes a party battery healer. Weird role juxtaposition. I don't know if that's the right way to use that word, but I'm going to. But it's really good. Good stuff indeed. And his BT phase deletes the crap out of bosses too. Zidane's effect lasts 10 turns, which isn't all that much considering how he has the high turn rates and consecutive turns. So if you really want to flesh this one out, it's best to avoid breaks with him while the effect is up. His calls are, if you have the LD, it's pocket deletes. The LD will always delete someone. And if you break a target with the base call, because he has buff start on the LD, he will actually delete that one as well. Zidane returns on a paid banner around Snow's Intertwined Will time, and then he's coming back with level 90. He's about to, when I'm recording this, in JP right now, and that will be around Cisne's character event. So as I mentioned in practice, Zidane is the best turn deleter in the game. You just chain a bunch of consecutive turns together, high turn rate, instant turns, you name it, and he can put bosses away. I use him a ton just to do exactly that. It's pretty brainless to do him. At first, I thought I didn't like doing that, but then sometimes when I felt like being lazy, or it's just fun seeing the boss's turns go away sometimes. So I really like that about Zidane. Downsides though, his personal damage isn't the greatest, but it's also the easiest in the world to just buff up, just bring more damage. He can suffice as your primary damage dealer. He'd always obviously like more, and the really good thing about Zidane is that I don't really think he's BT dependent. If you need deletes, you can lean on somebody else's BT potentially. So he doesn't really need green to do what he needs to do. That utility in the speed down and deletes is just too strong. But again, his personal damage is not the greatest, but consecutive turns do help offset that. He'll be useful in fights where bosses don't need to get turns. If they do need to get turns, you can just pump the brakes a little and not break as much. I know people, there's like Mustu on YouTube has done a ton of Zidane runs. People are going to run him into the ground. I really hope he doesn't get hit with the first BT plus, therefore not that good. I haven't seen him because his results are out there. There's a million Zidane fans who've already run him into the ground JP side. Next up is Y'shtola. She got an LD board rework and now she's getting BT plus as well. Her LD board rework finally gave her some decent auras. Now when a party member is above their eye brave, they'll get brave and HP damage up 20%. Standard stuff. Her LD attack is now a free instant turn that gets her overhead stacks to 3 so she can chain her level 3 brave plus. Base brave plus now has more brave and HP attacks and batteries to the party, and the special one hits even harder now. Y'shtola is now pumping out a lot more damage and providing even more battery to the party along with better auras. Her BT Plus extended her effect to 10 turns now. The party has a lot more overflow, and now they get the big thing, Brave gain up by 50%. This is 2.5 times what Porom gives. This is huge and makes a significant difference, and it's why people ran Y'shtola a lot to counter Brave gains. Her BT reruns on an off banner alongside Setzer's LD after Kieran's BT arrives, and she's also the featured LD on Seymour's Intertwined Wills where he gets his LD. Y'shtola can now fill the better offensive support slot in the party, and now she provides those massive brave gains up, and now brave and HP damage up for the party makes her a lot more valuable than her just little 60% attack aura that she had before. She's cemented herself as the battery queen. 50% again is huge, and she's pumping out a lot more damage on her modified buttons now, her brave attacks I should say. She still plays the same pretty much, she's just a lot better at doing it. Weakness wise, again, she's still not the greatest brave shaver. She's not helping you hit that hard, but she sure is battering you like crazy. Because of this brave gain up, practically Y'shtola can fit in any team provided you're bringing enough damage. Just take people who can take advantage of the brave gains obviously, and even if they don't, she can battery them like crazy. Like, it's just a good effect for her. One place she stands out significantly is Shulk's event, where the orb is to recover 2 skills at once. So Y'shtola does that with her EX, so she's pretty good there. Without BT, I don't think I can think of a good reason to really bring her, because that effect's really loaded. I guess, like I said, for the Shulk orb, but otherwise, yeah, she's kind of BT or bust at this point. Hell, greener bust, really. Next, we have Beatrix, who is getting her LD boards, and they are loaded. Oh my god. First, her LD debuff got improved. It's got brave damage of 20, defense down 20, and Thunder Imperil. Beatrix now grants herself Thunder Enchant, so all her moves, no matter what, her EX, Skill 1, HP, or Hidden Thunder. She has a debuff start, which is awesome. The actual LD attack is much better, hits harder, more HP attacks the usual. Her follow-up hits harder, and now it works like Gao's counter, where if anybody in the party gets hit, the attack triggers, regardless of if the debuff is up or not. Not to mention, it's got 20% splash too, my god. These are all very minor tweaks, but it makes Beatrix such a better character. Oh man. She's got off-turn damage and dispels way more consistently, Thunder Enchant to keep her damage consistent. The debuff got better. I mean, oh, she went from kind of awkward to amazing really quickly. Strength-wise, she's doing a lot more damage now. She's very consistent, easy to slot in the party still, and you really want her there because she can protect the party. And that ignored defense is so good on the follow-up counter thing, whatever we're going to call it now. Having those more consistent dispels when you actually need them is very good. Downsides though, her damage still isn't the greatest outside of her skill 1, or no, Thunder Slash. Thunder Slash is skill 2. If you're not pressing that, it doesn't feel that great because EX, skill 1, HP don't hit that hard, but she still has the keep you safe factor on her safe Paladin's Protection, I think it's called, so that's pretty good as well. But not the greatest damage, but that utility is insane. An additional downside is that Beatrix isn't buffing the party to make them hit harder that much as well. It's nice that her debuff got upgraded with the defense down and the brave damage dealt up, but she's still probably going to want someone else to buff attack in the party, which really isn't asking for a whole lot more. She'll definitely be useful for fights where you're getting hit a lot, just because of the off-turn damage and the defense ignore. Bosses are buffing, she's going to be dispelling them all the time. She's one of my favorite dispellers to use just because you don't have to think about it. Just keep the debuff up, basically. Even then, if the debuff falls off, they hit you, they're getting dispelled. And because she has debuff start now, her calls will actually dispel and drop a Thunder Imperil as well. So she can be, well, her LD call and her base call can be used for that, provided her LD board is equipped. My favorite use of Beatrix by far in JP has to be on Vayne's Lufenia, where the orb was to break, and I did it in the off turn with Beatrix because she ignored their high defenses. Worked out very well. Lastly, Rinoa got LD boards and 80. They leaned harder on her stance dancing, so now she has an overall brave and HP damage up aura for the party, 20% brave, 10% HP. When she's in her support stance, she gets even more, she doubles those, so she's got 40% brave damage up and 20% HP damage up for the party, which is very nice actually. And while she's in Angel Wing mode, offense mode, she gets personal brave and HP damage up by 30 and 20, which evens out to 50 and 20 for her brave and HP damage up. Ugh, numbers. Her Angel Wings brave double taps and it refunds afterwards, and her Angel Wing's HP attack is actually a nuke, triple HP attack. Additionally, both of these attacks fill the recast gauge up, kind of like what they did for Yuna now. So now she's got her EX up faster as well, and she doesn't need to rely on skills as much. She does not have a known rerun at this point, although with the BT rules getting updated, when she comes back, it'll probably be with a burst. Who knows what they'll do with her around then. Strengths, Rinoa really fills her role as someone who can jump between Aurabot or damage dealer depending on the situation. She's got decent buffs and she can do a whole lot of things. Weaknesses wise, I honestly don't think going between those roles is very good at this point, just because she's not stellar at either of them, and I think it's easier to fit that in a team. I mean, obviously she'll still be viable, but yeah, I think she's probably the most underwhelming out of the pack, but she'll be back around with level 90 in BT. So yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what people do with her. She's still just Rinoa. I mean, I don't remember if there's any HP regen orbs. I know, what was it? Gilgamesh's BT thing had a do damage with braver HP attacks, and then Lude's event had sap your own HP with stuff, so she could be useful there potentially. Otherwise, she just fell in as a standard damage dealer / Aurabot. She's really flexible. She has that going for her. Now let's talk about the actual fight, the Lufenia Plus. First off, the reductions are kind of high on the stage in terms of both brave damage and brave gain. The boss has attacks at different threshold. You're going to take HP damage and you're going to get debuffed. The orb, however, is to delete turns, but there's a secondary orb as well, and that you need to attack while buffing. So it's actually entirely possible to do this fight without Zidane. You just need to wiggle it around. There's one run I know where it was Paladin, Cecil, Jack, and Tidus, and I don't think there was a Zidane, I should say, in as a call. It might have been Zidane friend, I don't remember exactly, but the way they went about it is they just had someone who could just keep attacking, and they kept doing it, like Tidus spamming turns, Jack spamming turns, getting the breaks. The main boss will cut off battery when it has a glowing wind around it, and it won't let you battery until it's deleted. But if you just bring units that don't rely on battery, you won't really be bothered by it. So there's a bunch of ways around this fight. It just doesn't feel good to get hit with those reductions off the bat, but it's manageable. That being said, path to least resistance is Zidane friend, Ami D'Italian friend. I don't know if I've seen anybody make ulti work, but it could probably work. If you do run Zidane, the worst that you'll see from this fight is probably that it feels like a slog, and then you just gotta watch out for the threshold HP attacks, and just make sure to delete the main boss when the wind aura pops up. You'll at least be able to read it on screen because it's global, but that should be fine. My plans are to gem the Beatrix and Zidane banner. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but it's Beatrix and Zidane on one banner, both LDs, and then Y'shtola BT and Rinoa's LD on the other banner. I have Y'shtola, and I want both Beatrix and Zidane. I don't have either of the LDs in global, so I want to gem that banner. Hopefully it gets Zidane's BT along the way, but I'm not going to green him this time around. But I do want to green Y'shtola just because I want to use her and try her out and mess with the order of things, like change up from my JP side. And as for the fight, in JP, I ran Zidane, Yuna, and Agrius. Agrius to buff the brave gains and stun the bosses sometime. Yuna, because it's Yuna, get rid of the debuffs as well. And then Zidane to actually handle the orb. GL side, I'm thinking of running Y'shtola, just having fun with the new toys. Beatrix and Zidane for the orb, depending on however I have him geared or not. I am definitely going to blue Y'shtola because I want to run her a lot, just out of curiosity. Or maybe I won't blue off the bat, I don't know. But I'm very tempted to blue Beatrix as well, because I've used her so much in JP, and she was really just a star for me. And that's all I have to say. Again, be sure to like the video and subscribe if you have not already. Let me know your plans in the comments. I'll check them all out. Good luck. Have a great day. Peace.